Out of synthesizer news, we have the Roland TR-1000 drop, we have the MPC 3 live drop, and did it not come with lots of controversy? Did it not come with tons of excitement? And did it not come with haters and lovers alike? Welcome to Synth Samurai Morning Radio, your show for all the early birds, all the hustlers who are up here working hard, driving to work early in the morning, at work early in the morning, while all the others sleep. And I'm happy to be here with you this morning. And I just want to say, man, it's been exciting, the synth world. News comes and goes, but every once in a while you get one of these days where it just happens and you get some big drops, and that was last week. We had 2 in a row. Actually, to be honest, we probably had 3 in a row. We had the Tone first from Elektron drop, the amazing sample. I guess it was the week of the samplers, we could call it. We had 3 samplers drop, basically. Sampler / drum machine / groove boxes. We had the Elektron Tone first. Elektron had to go and make a very strategic business move and release this synthesizer before it was ready, because they probably got tipped off that Roland was coming with a $2,700 groove box, drum machine, sampler, classic reviving the analog ghosts of the past with their new, I guess people would call it the most professional drum machine ever released. And it's an interesting topic. We'll get in a little more later in the show, but they're calling it the most professional drum machine ever released. And this is a question that I guess we'll see in due time. I've watched tons of videos over the weekend. I'm trying to hear some real live demos of this thing that people on the ground are getting, like not the Super Glaze and the Chill Mafia, Synth Mafia, but just real people with this thing. And sound-wise, maybe it's hard to tell through the computer screen or the headphones or whatever you're listening to, but sound-wise, I just don't know how much different sound-wise this really is than a Roland TR-800, So it's kind of weird to me that last week, or let's just say 2 weeks ago, if you had a TR-800, you basically had a professional drum machine. And then the Synth Mafia and Roland come out, and within 24 hours, now you're an amateur again if you don't own the TR1000. So that seems to be the marketing they went with, that, the TR-800 is now a rinky-dink old box for amateurs. And if you're a professional, and you got the cheese to come up with $2,700, now you can be a pro, It's very weird. It's very weird, that type of marketing. It heavily leans into elitism. It heavily leans into, anchoring to someone's mind that in order to be a pro, you need professional equipment. And back in the day, Roland was one of the companies that put out the TR3 or 303 or whatever that thing was, that basically spawned the birth of electronic music creation. TB303, that's the Behringer one, is it? TB3, Roland one, TR3, 303, I don't even know what it's called, nor is that many of them out there. But that little plastic box, would people have called that a professional machine when that came out? Now you can pick one up for like $100. You pick it. So is Roland going to go ahead now and bring back their old analog ghosts and tell you that if you don't have them, you're not professional, you're relegated to amateur status again? I don't know. So that's interesting. That was an interesting line of thought in marketing. And it seems to me, people don't want to say it, but when synth companies put out products and they go to their mercenaries, their hired marketing guns, the third arm of the synthesizer companies, the mercenaries, and they send them a product. A lot of times, maybe not every time, and maybe they can't ever say it because they're all got NDAs signed, but a lot of times they come with talking points. And it seems to me that the talking points for the TR1000, the talking point and the catchphrase was pro. I mean, if you watch Anderton's video with the dude with the long hair from Roland, I mean, within the first 10, 15 minutes of the video, the booth says pro, I think 25 times. At my count, it was like friggin', it was like the song Roxanne. Every 10 seconds he was saying pro. So, and then you get, I'm not gonna say names, but you know who you are. Then you got all these other synthesizer channels saying the word pro and emphasizing professional, and it's just like, I mean, I'm not a student of, well, I am a student of, but if you ask me, that word was said so many times that then I started just hearing regular people be like, yeah, this is for the pros. This is a professional drum machine. It's for the pros. And then it just made me think, it's like, what the hell does that even mean? Does it mean that, like, you're making money from music and you're gonna, so you can afford to drop $2,700 on a drum machine so it's a professional drum machine? Does it mean that all the components in it are so high quality that, you know, that if you consider yourself a professional, this is kind of what you need to get the sound? It's basically they took Behringer's cool audio chips. I can't prove this yet, but I got a sneaking suspicion that they bought the RD8 and RD9. I can't remember the name of the chip, but I got a sneaking suspicion that the analog circuitry for the 808 and the 909 are actually from the RD8 and the RD9 by Behringer, because I think about it and I'm like, would Roland really go and make their own chips at this point for these synthesizers when they don't make analog gear anymore? Like, if I was sitting in the boardroom with all the fellas, you know, having some sushi, a little bit of wasabi, I'd be like, if one of the dudes was like, you know what, let's create a whole new department where we're gonna recreate the 808 and the 909 chips from way back in the day. Let's put all this money into that, and let's recreate these old chips. If I was sitting in the boardroom with them, I'd be like, hey, Suzuki Takayako, listen, why are we gonna waste all our time and money doing that? Why don't we work on everything else, and then we can just buy these chips, because Cool Audio has already went and recreated these chips. Like, I would be like, can we go down to friggin' the garage center and pick up an RD8 or an RD9? Why don't we just use those chips? Because really, it's kind of just the gimmick that Roland's releasing an analog drum machine after 40 years. Like, that's like the gimmick. So the gimmick when they released it marketing-wise was like, Roland's first analog drum machine in 45 years. Roland returns to analog. The people ask, Roland delivers. You know, professional. And then my gut instinct was just like, nah, they're not gonna go create their own chips. I don't know this, but I mean, I asked 3 different AI platforms if the TR1000 has Cool Audio, which is owned by Music Tribe, aka Behringer, chips in there for the analog 808 and 909. And AI was like, we can't definitively say yet, but it would make sense that as a company, you would source those chips rather than create a whole new department just for the sake of throwing in 2 little gimmicky analog things into your drum machine, because they got all the digital 808 and 909s in there anyway, and they got everything else in there. So I can't say for sure, but I got a sneaking suspicion that when someone cracks one of these TR1000s open, there's going to be Cool Audio's chips in there. That's what I think, but I could be wrong. it's just a sneaking suspicion, and it's only logical that if I was running a business, I wouldn't create a whole new department just to put a couple 808, 909 chips in a drum machine when I could just go source them super fast and simple in mass. Okay, so don't forget this. Not only could they get those chips from Cool Audio in mass, they could get those chips from Cool Audio knowing that they've already perfected them. Okay, so you're not running an experiment anymore. You got them perfected. And you know what? They perfected them from your tech back in the day. So they took Roland's 808, 909 from back in the day and recreated it and perfected it. I mean, have you heard the Behringer RD8 or the Behringer 9 or RD9? Have you heard those two drum machines? I mean, come on. So that's what I think. It's not a big deal. I think it's smart. If Roland did that, it's actually very, very smart. It will make total sense. But also it just means that the TR1000 is just a clone of Behringer's clone of a Roland drum machine. So, you know, we've come full circle now where we got all these companies that let their inventions fade away. And Behringer, Cool Audio, Music Tribe went in, swooped them up. And now all these companies are realizing, oh shit, people still want analog. Oh no, they want analog at a good price. Crap, all right, we'll go back to analog for a little bit. So, now I'm not hating on the drum machine. I think the drum machine looks pretty awesome. I actually think it's one of the sleekest, most, dare I say, professional looking drum machines I've ever seen. It is friggin' hot. It's sexy, you know? It's got that Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator gray. It's shiny. It's a beast. It's got a booty on it, you know what I mean? Like, should call it the twerk. The booty on that Roland TR-1000 is so thick. But that was that. So I think that was a really cool product release. I don't think, unless Roland stops producing it and they're like, all right, we're done making this. We just did this as a project. Now we're going to release some other ones to whoever got this edition. Congratulations. That would make it a classic, and that would make it hold its value forever. Now, based on everything else that Roland does, and Korg and all that, I just have to assume that they're going to devalue their own product. And you know, you'll be able to pick this up for like $2,100 within a year or something, maybe, probably. There's probably going to be tons of people also that have buyer's remorse because they paid $2,700 and, you know, they got it and it just sounds like a regular old thing. Some people were saying it'll take you 2.5 years to learn this drum machine inside and out, become an expert at it. So that's cool. That's cool. It's deep. Somebody released, I think it was a fake photo yesterday of the Roland TR-1000. It had a way bigger screen so you could see the samples. It was probably AI, obviously, but I mean, it's funny that just some jabroni or an AI program could come up with a better interface and look than actually Roland did, you know, or whatever. So we had that, and then the next drop of the week was the MPC 3 Live, and I did a show, I don't know if it was it was over the weekend on Saturday, where I talked about a guy named Synths, one of the greatest patch designers of all time, was in the chat, and one of the things that he was talking about was that, you know, this is like a technological bookmark that has changed MPC now, you know, so it's like what happened when PlayStation and Xbox released a product, because I was in a couple debates over the weekend, and one of the debates was, is the MPC in these digital products now, especially from these companies, are they just platforms like Xbox and PlayStation? Like, you know, once we're here now to the next generation. So it's not just a different color MPC, you know, it's not just an MPC with a little bit of a different layout or a special edition or stuff like that. It's actually a new platform. So meaning that the MPCs post MPC3 Live are in essence obsolete technologically. Okay, because from everything I was reading, tons of people, their issues with the older MPC was, for example, you had 8 plugins you could use at once, and then 7, and then effects, and then the thing would just jam up. It would brick up. It would like stop working properly because it didn't have enough CPU or the firmware wasn't up to snuff. And then you had Todd promising these users that they were working on making it better, blah, 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 blah. And the fact of the matter was, there's only so much you can do with an old platform, right? And not only that, there's only so much you, like, MPCs, they're a kind of business. They're not just going to be like, all right, we're going to sell you a 5-year-old product, and then we're just going to constantly give you firmware updates for $10, $15. And then it's a business, dude. Like, they got to make a new product. So they come up with a new product. This is a new platform. It's got a whole, it's got a whole new element of live performance to it. Okay, with the adding of, I don't know whether we can say it's Lindstrom technology because no one's actually come out and say that, but if you were reading the tea leaves with Roger Lynn and his MPC 2 live videos where he was doing a bit, which was odd. It was like, why is Roger Lynn doing like 4 or 5 videos pumping, talking about the MPC? And you're like, this is odd. And then suddenly now you've got an MPC3 live come out with what one could say is Lindstrom style pads where you can now modulate it across the square, quadrant X, Y, whatever, and now you can modulate each pad with pressure to mimic what the Roger Lynn's Lindstrom could do. So you would have to assume that Roger Lynn had that MPC2 because he was basically thinking of how it could integrate with the MPC. And it seems to me they did a great job. When I've watched the videos, I haven't really, all I've seen is, so far, is mostly hip-hop dudes, you know, making beats on it and not really using the live performance aspect of the MPC. So I haven't seen, like, for example, a synth guy go in there and do a live performance with it yet. I've seen them use the squares, for example, as a four sample square, you know, where you've got 4 samples on one square. So where you've got 16 squares, now you got 4 samples on each of those 16 squares, which is pretty cool, right? So you can have 4 drum samples per pad. So now you've just turned yourself into like a drum octopus, you know? It's like, and you're only on one pad. So that's very cool. So I think technologically, as far as platforms go, for any of the gamers out there who's followed Xbox and PlayStation and how they do their things, this is a new platform. So, you know, you might get a couple things to placate people who have older MPCs. And we're not talking about the old ass ones that people still cling to. We're talking about like the, you know, 5 to 6, 7-year-old MPCs. Like, those things are done now. You can hold on to it, but why would you? You might as well sell it, get you $300 because you weren't in on the insider synth trading info that allowed everybody who's on the inside to put their MPCs on Reverb and get $500-600 for them. No, you weren't privy to that. So now you can put your MPC up there and you can get $300-400 for it, max, probably $250. You know, you'll probably see MPCs now for probably $250-300. So there's no you can hold on to it, but I mean, playing a PlayStation 1 is like fun for a second, you know. If you're used to playing Xbox and PlayStation of today's generation, yeah, you can load up an old Nintendo and play Super Mario and try to rescue the princess, but you're gonna get pretty damn sick of it real quick because it just ain't what it used to be. You know what I mean? It's like a novelty and maybe enjoyable for a short period of time, but you might as well get with the program and pick up the new one. So I like it. I'm not an MPC fan, but I can look at this platform and be like, oh, yep, this is cool. They just made this thing a live performer's dream. Sped the damn thing up. Now you can have up to 32 instead of 8 plugins or whatever loaded on it, or tracks or whatever you want to call it. So that's a huge jump. The only question is, did they really put everything they need under the hood to allow this thing not to jam up, which was like some of the issues people were having back in the day. Like Tactical MIDI had a great point. If you just want to take samples that are on it and, you know, do a little boom bop blibbly blop beat just for a laugh, but if you want to do something like Tactical MIDI does, where this cat's running it through effects like crazy and trying to create some of the craziest sounds ever, it jams up on you. So that was the issue with the pack. So, is it cool? Yes. Is it the future? Of course. Are they going to come with something even crazier soon? I don't know, but you just have to assume that their business model is the same as Xbox and the same as PlayStation, right? And they already have the next models loaded up, ready to go. They just need to milk as much as they can at each stage, while also not pissing off their core group of fans too much who are left holding the bag with the old crap. Now, if we want to move on to the next thing, we've got the Elektron Tonewerk, which is another sampling groove box that came out this last week. And that particular groove box came out with not the full capability that everybody was hoping for. Now, you got guys like the Machines One, who's a diehard fan, who hold on to that thing until they get all the firmware updates done, because he's got a Digitone already. He might even have a Digitac. I don't know, he might have a couple Elektron boxes, so he's gonna hold on to it. So it was a very strategic and smart move, because Elektron was privy to the insider synth trading and they knew what was coming. You had two monster groove box drum machine samplers coming out with the TR1000 and the MPC Live 3. And guess what? If they would have waited, then a large part of that pool would have moved and got one of those boxes. So what they did is they were like, at the minimum, let's put this out so we can lock in our hardcore supporters, because we know they'll get it and they'll forgive us for our incomplete product. And then we can work on the updates behind the scenes. But if we wait until we're done, you know, everyone's going to have their cheese already allocated to one of these beautiful new sampler drum machines that have just come out. And to be honest, like if you were going to spend $1,600, what are you going to do? You're going to buy an incomplete Tonewerk, or are you going to buy a next generation future of music production unit in the MPC Live 3? And then we're going to let all the pro wannabes pick up a Roland TR-1000 and sit on their bed cross-legged and play a $2,600 drum machine with no other synthesizers in their jogging pants, and put it on YouTube with no audio interface, potato audio coming through, so we can be like, oh, okay, that sounds like, why did I even, you know, this is crazy to me. What's going on here? You got a dude sitting on his bed doing shrooms, jogging pants with a $2,700 drum machine. And it's like, oh, this the pro? I thought that was funny. You gotta look that up, go look it up. All you gotta do, for those of you who don't know how to search YouTube, is type in TR1000, Roland TR1000 shrooms, and you'll see this guy. And I thought that was hilarious because it was marketed to pros, but then you got a dude sitting on his bed cross-legged with no other synthesizers because he spent all his money on a drum machine playing the stock 808 patterns that are in the drum machine. So I thought that was hilarious and just a funny juxtaposition to the synth mafia's marketing that is for the pros. And that's one of the first videos we get is a schmo, and I say that with all due respect, sitting on his bed, cross-legged, playing a Roland TR-1000 on mushrooms. I just thought that was actually the you know, you couldn't have a funnier juxtaposition to the glazed mercenary marketing of the synth mafia, and then one of the first videos of somebody with the Roland TR-1000 is some jabroni on his bed in a pair of Walmart jogging pants playing the TR-1000 on mushrooms. Come on. You can't tell me we're not living in a simulation when that is what happens. I should actually do a whole video. I could do a whole video just on that because it's that hilarious. So, but anyways, the tone work, apparently the multi-sampling isn't working. The MIDI clocking isn't working. So one of the coolest features about the tone work was what they advertised, you know, of what you could do with it combined with the other Elektron ladies. And the people who got it can't even do that. So I know a lot of people were super pissed off, but it's funny when they do stuff like that, because then you get all the Roland or the Elektron fanboys just fighting with each other. It's like Lord of the Flies. It's like, how dare you? Of course, you know, they'll fix it. Oh, it's the best thing ever. I mean, come on, just because the main two features that they advertise doesn't work, and I paid $1,600, doesn't mean it's not an amazing product. You know, so I think that's funny. I think that's really funny, actually. So then, yeah, you got Lord of the Flies happening in the Elektronaut forums where people are pissed off and other people are defending the company. It's just like, man, this is hilarious. So that's that. And then we got Behringer. Behringer, however you want to say it. I like saying Behringer, except I like that strong G, you know, even though I know it's Behringer. But I like that strong G. I like the J, you know, the Behringer. And you got Behringer coming now. We got the Juno clone on deck. That's pretty much ready to go. I think they're just, everything I heard, Behringer's doing a couple internal things behind the scenes to make sure they've got everything ready to go. Uli's working on a fully automated factory over in China, which I think is probably almost complete. This is probably all going to coincide in the groundbreaking futuristic facility where all your synthesizers are going to be made by robots and AI, and you can go in and it'll be 24/7 cameras. You can go in and watch your actual serial number of the synthesizer you bought be in production. You can watch it from like stage 1 to, I guess, a robot boxing it up, throwing it in a mailbox, coming right to your house. I think that's crazy. So you're going to get 24/7 access to watching your synthesizer being made in real time. So not only do you just sit around and keep checking the tracking number, you can actually watch the production happen in real time. And I think that's pretty freaking crazy. And everybody's hating that. They're like, oh, how dare Uli? Uli's like, he's making a factory that's totally powered by AI. Oh my God, it's only gonna be robots making the synthesizers. It's like, man, you guys, I thought you guys were like against slave labor. I thought like your whole deal was, you know, a year ago, oh, can you believe that Uli makes Behringer synthesizers in China and he's paying these workers nothing and the Chinese are slaves and blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, oh, he got rid of the slave workers and now he's using robots. How dare he? That's so unethical to use robots. This is the AI apocalypse. Oh my God, let me wet my underwear. I'm so scared of the big bad AI. Oh my God, it's another thing to be scared of. Holy moly, Y2K scared me enough, and then climate change really scared me, and then the big bad you-know-what, Cheeto Boy is so scary. Oh my God, now I gotta worry about AI. Please help us, God. Shut up. Knock it off. God, he's scared of it. All nonsense. It's just friggin' Internet 3.0. Big whoop. Worried about AI. I think there's bigger things to worry about than friggin' AI, put it that way. But anyways, he's got a factory made, and they're coming with the Juno clone, the Jupiter clone, the, what is it, the I can't remember the friggin' name, VC3S, V3CS, VSC3, VS3C. whatever that one is, that beautiful big silver one, which I will be getting. I know they knocked out the perfect Lin drum, or the LM drum. People love that thing. Under 400 bucks. You get an epic drum machine you can actually sample into, which is awesome. They got the DX1 mega flagship clone coming. Looks like a piece of black glass. That's on the way. So it's exciting times. Very exciting time. I'm pumped up. It was a great week. Finally, we had some stuff to talk about. Some, you know, in the synth-verse, there's drama. There's battles. There's the synth mafia versus the synth renegades. The eternal battle of good versus evil. You know, the man versus the machine. The rebels versus the elites. It's a great time we're in. So that's it for this morning. That's your little update. I hope you guys had a great day, great morning. Take it easy. And this is Synth Samurai Morning Radio. Slow, slow.